Editing. Sloppy editing ruins so many great pieces. I get it. You're so close to the finish line, you're ready to hit publish and just be done with it. The temptation to rush the editing is very appealing, but that is what separates great content writers from okay content writers. If you don't edit, people will lose interest. They'll feel like you don't really care about the content, so why should they really care about the content? So before hitting publish, make sure you've run through this editing checklist, which is available in the download section of this lesson. So the editing basics: does this speak to my target audience? And does it create value for them? Does it make them feel good or provide something that they need? Because if it doesn't create value, there's not that much point writing it in the first place. And if you find that you've got a piece that you really enjoyed writing but doesn't really provide any value, this is the time to catch it and change that before it goes out to the world. And of course, proofread for spelling and grammar. Spell check is a great place to start, but editing is so much more than just spell check. For one, spell checker isn't going to pick up on those words that you spelt right but used in the wrong way. Then we move on to the advanced editing. Is the headline enticing? And you've got to be honest with yourself on this one. Or maybe ask a friend, get a second opinion, because if it's not a good headline, no one's going to click on it. Have you got the voice and tone right? If you were in a mood or if you were tired when you wrote it, that's going to come across in your writing, but this is a great time to catch it and change it. Make sure that your tone fits the content and what you're trying to convey. Know where to hype it up and where to tone it down. Have you removed all of the flow speed bumps and added in your flow enhancers? When you scan down the piece, are there things that draw your eye down? Whether it's images, headings, or subheadings. If not, now's the time to add them in. And of course, you want to analyze every single word, every single sentence, and every single point. Don't be worried if you feel like you're cutting too much. There's no such thing. If anything, this is the time to hack away like crazy. I aim to remove at least a third of my pieces while editing. Sometimes it's way more than half. And that's fine. All that matters is that you have quality work at the end. Do you have an editor? If so, communicate with them. Let them know that you want more than just proofreading your spelling and grammar. You can't just give them your work and expect it back perfect. Make sure they understand that you want to improve the voice, the tone, the flow, and the value. And point out specifics to them as well. If you're not happy with your conclusion and you think it's a little bit weak, tell them that and ask for their advice. If you're editing it yourself, you need to be aware of writer's blindness. Your brain wrote this piece. It already knows it inside out. And to be honest, it's probably just as bored of it as you are. So by the time you're at the editing stage, your brain is going to be skimming over mistakes and filling in gaps without truly reading it. The ideal solution to this is to bring in other people where you can. The more eyes you can get on it before hitting publish, the better. But this isn't always possible. And if you don't have anyone you can bring into it, then try leaving it to one side for a week or even more if you can. This gives your brain time to forget it and see it with fresh eyes. Finally, and I've saved the best tip till last, read it out loud. Your brain will skim over errors until it's forced to vocalize them. This will also help you improve the simplicity of your sentence structures and, of course, improve your flow. A great tool to use, especially when you're new to editing, is the Hemingway app editor. So if you simply search Hemingway editor and click on it, you'll see this. They've already got some text in there for you and they've got a couple of things down the side to pay attention to. First thing is the readability. For non-Americans, grade 6 is ages 11 to 12. This sounds low, but it's really not. When we sit down to dive into a book, we will happily accept the challenge of reading at our own reading level. But when you're just browsing Facebook, you see an article that you're kind of intrigued by, but you're not 100% dedicated to. Any speed bump is going to cause you to back out, and that includes your own reading level. You're pretty likely to jump back out at the first sign of a challenge, even if that challenge is reading at your own level. Unless you have a specific target audience that really enjoys a challenge, the best advice is to keep it as low as you possibly can. You've got the word count and then you've got your codes. Weak, redundant, and hedging words are all flagged in blue. Using a passive voice is flagged in green, so you can swap it in for an active voice. This isn't something we've covered so far. I'm going to really quickly run over it now. When you use a passive voice, sentences tend to be more wordy and more vague, whereas when you use an active voice, it's a lot clearer and more direct. For example, a passive voice sentence would be, the entire house was painted by Tom, whereas the active voice version of that would be, Tom painted the entire house. It's just a little bit more to the point. Overly complicated words and phrases are highlighted in purple so you can simplify them, and readability is highlighted in yellow and red. These sentences are too long or too complicated and they need to be shortened or broken up. If you want, you can write things directly in the app, and then when you're ready, hit edit. Or you can do what I like to do and simply copy it in from Google Docs, WordPress, wherever you write your content. So for example, if I edit in our checklist, I've got 2 flagged words, they're both directly. Have you spoken directly to your target customer and their desires? I can't think of a more forceful verb, so I'm just going to omit it. Have you spoken to your target customer and their desires? The sentence still holds its meaning, and to be honest, if anything, it's probably a little bit clearer as well.